Hello out there. Welcome back. You are listening to Thank God for the Group Chat. I'm sitting here. Well, not here. We are meeting via I want to say the other one. It's not. It's Zoom. It's Zoom. Someone said that Skype had a 17-year lead and they botched it.
This true.
Because they sold it to Microsoft.
Did they? I mean,
I will stand by that.
We did
forever.
discuss this.
That's how
Absolutely.
they messed up.
Why? Like, okay, that's not
girl.
I don't care. You know, we deter
all the time.
I'm saying Microsoft, they have a platform in and of themselves, so I don't get it. Like, they should have been on top of it too. So
move your mic up.
Oh, sorry. Better. It still sounds like it needs some work. Better.
Yo, you could probably turn it up a little bit, but it's cool.
Oh, don't have me messing with stuff I don't understand.
You in the whole studio over there.
Yeah, my friend.
She got a sound engineer and everything, Victoria. Over there. I saw a lady like hop out. Like, you good.
Right. 1 second. Change your levels.
Right. So we're sitting here talking about the church's role in social injustice, and I don't want to say more importantly, but currently and more poignant in this moment. I do mean poignant. In this moment, Black injustice, police brutality, and forget brutality, police homicide against Black individuals specifically. Yes, we do know that cops have killed other races. There was a young man that passed away yesterday who was allegedly murdered by a police officer as he was protesting yesterday. He was white, and his parents are saying, where is the outrage? I'll speak to that very quickly. We are severely sorry for your loss, for this young man, for your son, who you care very deeply about. And we do appreciate that he was out there and that he gave his life for this cause. But the truth of the matter is, more than likely, justice will be served for your son. We believe that more than likely justice will be served for your son because of the color of his skin. Just like that, the inverse of that is why we are protesting. The inverse of that is why people are looting. The inverse of that is why there is such outrage. Again, we are sorry for your loss, and we do thank him for being an advocate and for being an ally, and he will be missed. And I don't want to say this casually or very cavalier. We don't want his life just to be a casualty of war. We definitely want it to mean something. And so we thank you for giving your son life so that his life even meant something in this very moment. But going forward, we were talking about as a church, or as the body of Christ, how should we respond, and what should our response be to this? I want to continue to give you guys the floor if you're not finished saying what you're saying, because I think I differ a little bit.
I mean, you were the one speaking before our short break, so.
What was that? I was just saying we going to break.
Okay. I thought you were giving your thought as far as who should be responsible, or if the church should have any responsibility in it or not.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. So I don't differ in that. I don't differ in you guys' opinion to what you have spoken to. It's more so like an add-on. Mine is like and. So I do want to be very clear. The Lord is not slack in his promises towards us. right? The Lord has not turned a blind eye or a deaf ear to what is going on in the world, let alone this country. Fanatic, not to use the term again, but his actual name is Fanatic. He was saying like, look, if you think that the world is coming to an end because of what is happening in America, please don't be that self-centered. This stuff has been happening all over the world. People have been disenfranchised all over the world. People have been oppressed and are being oppressed all over the world. People have been having epidemics, because pandemics are more global, in their own confines of their own countries all over the world. Just because it's hitting America does not mean that now all of a sudden the world is coming to an end. That is very ethnocentrism centered, first of all, ethnocentristic. But I'll say this. I think Jesus's character a lot of times his character in totality gets overlooked, especially in moments like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to say it, but I would say that I'm a somewhat militant person.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because that's in my nature, but I think my Savior speaks to that part of myself in himself. I don't think Jesus was or is passive. I think, yes, he was meek and he chose to be meek, but meek is power under control. But what is power if you never actually get to express it? That's not power at all. So it is to say that Jesus definitely had power and has power and does use it. I see people bringing up Jesus in the temple, flipping tables. That was a protest. That was a definite protest. That was looting. That was looting to some aspect, definite. But of course, people would like to say, and it's true. Well, he was speaking about his father's house. He was passionate about his father's house. How much more do you think that Jesus is passionate about his people?
Yeah.
Right.
How much more do you think that he's passionate about his creation?
Yeah. So we are the temple,
We are, absolutely. So what I'm not saying is that go out and just rob and steal and kill or anything like that. But I will say this, and I think this gets lost a lot of times, because I haven't just come out and actually said it, but I'm not against protesting, and I'm not against protesting having negative effects on other people directly. I'm not. That's a protest. And people talk about, well, don't protest this way. Protest peaceably. What are you talking about? What you're saying is protest not peacefully. You're saying protest quietly, which is not a protest at all.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It's not a protest. Here's the thing that people don't understand. When someone protests, you're not supposed to like it. You're not supposed to like it. That's a part of what makes effectual protest effective. That's what makes effective protest effective. Am I for the loss of lives? No. Am I for here's my thing, man. It's hard to balance the whole idea of someone lost a life, but there is no recompense for anybody else. You know what I mean? For the opposing party.
Yeah.
Again, if we look at our faith, and I don't want to be this guy, and I'm usually not this guy in particular, and I don't want to take the gospel out of context, but it's kind of like what we talked about the other episode, right? We talked about Botham Jean's brother running up to his murderer, and I'll leave it at that. Running up to his murderer and like just embracing her, saying, "I forgive you." And that has been us as a people. Like, these people have not apologized. They have not repented. Repentance is a changing of the mind. Your mind is changed about a situation and you begin to walk in repentance. Like, my mind is changed, so my actions are going to show that my mind is changed. And so, but you don't really get that. You get people just saying, just waiting until it dies down. You just wait until it dies down.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I just got a text, so I'm kind of thrown off. But you wait till it dies down, and so you don't have to feel any weight or gravity of the situation. I had a couple white people hit me up this past week, and they both asked me, "What can we do?"
Yeah.
What can we do?
That was a question I got as well.
Yeah.
I don't like that question. I would just like to clarify.
I love the question.
I
don't like it when you're asking me as a Black person personally.
Well, why? I love the question, because who else are you supposed to ask? You know what I mean? As a Black, ask Google. Okay.
So here's my thing. I was talking to my mom about this earlier. First, are you? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
I wasn't.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. I'll say this. I love the question because it puts the onus and the weight on you now, because now you can't say that you don't know. Now you ask the person who this situation and or situations is affecting directly, what can I do to not just make you feel better, but what can I do to appease this and make this right? Not appease, but what can I do to make this right? And I don't like the word reconcile, because reconcile meant that you guys were cool at first. Like, it was never cool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't even know if concile is a word, but you know what I mean? We can't read anything if never was before. But it puts the onus on the person to, now you have to do something. You can't say that you don't know anymore. So now you know that I know that you need to do something. And you know that I told you what you need to do to make this right and to help us in this fight. So now if you don't do it, you know, anything outside of what I've told you to do isn't what you should be doing. So I love the question. But why don't you like it?
I think for me, I want to know that, like, I'm happy. Here's the thing. I don't want anyone to think I'm happy to answer questions, but I want to know that you take an initiative already on your own. I don't know. I feel like I'm just like, in the age of information, like, there are so many resources that have been shared time and time again that we've been sharing time, like, over and over and over and over again. So for me, I'm just kind of like, what can I do? I'm like, we've already told, like, you know what you can do. Like, this isn't the first time we've been here. This might be the first time that you're actively trying to care and trying, like, working towards actually changing your behaviors and your mindset. But I think for me, I'm at the point right now where I'm like, if you know to reach out to me or think to reach out to me, then I feel like you already know. Like, does that make sense? Like, I feel like you already know that there's...
That's why I'm reaching out.
No, yeah. I feel a bit differently, but I understand where Victoria is, because I know I have... Victoria, you still drawing on what you were saying?
Oh, no, I'm just saying, I just feel like, and granted, this could I'm very well speaking from, like, my personal experiences and just my dealings with white people. And for me, I'm just like, you're not blind, and I know y'all aren't deaf and dumb. Like, we've had these conversations before, so please stop asking me what can I do when I feel like we have been yelling at y'all and asking y'all to do certain things so many times over. And now, because like magically, now that it's clicked, like the advice has not changed. Your mindset may have changed, your heart posture may have changed, but the issue has not changed. The corrective behavior has not changed. You like takes for me, like that's taking ownership. It's like taking the initiative to like at least go and see like what other resources are there out there besides my Black friend. Like, what else can I do to like initiate this for myself and not because for me, it's like, what can I do? I understand what you're saying, Keith, in terms of like, you know, you telling them what they can do, it puts the onus back on them. But even before that, like for them to even ask me, like, what can I do? It then puts the onus back. It puts the onus back on me first as someone who has been saying the same thing over and over again, but no one wanted to listen the 15 times before this.
So that's so that was kind of my point when I was saying that I spoke to 2 white people this past week, right? And they asked me what can they do? And I told them, well, one of the questions was, you know, how are you feeling about this? And I said, you're tired and you become numb after a while, you know, because you've not spewed, but you've preached this message over and over and over and over and over again. And it becomes refined and you can say it in short now because you know exactly what you need to say. And you're trying to find different ways to make someone that doesn't understand. So you become this professional communicator and you become this expert communicator rather on Black issues because you've had to say this a million times and you've had to refine it. But gosh, you've had to say this a million times, so you just become tired and you don't want to say it anymore because it's like, I'm just saying, I'm spinning my wheels. I've said this a million times. So I do understand what you're saying, but I then told him, I said, but I can't stop. Number one, because of my mandate as a believer to speak, as Tabitha was saying, speaking out against injustice, speaking out against injustice and speaking out against oppression, and just for my sake, you know what I mean? Just, you know, for my family, for people that I love, for people that are Black like me and are a minority like me, but for myself, you know what I mean? You know, man, I don't think about myself a lot when I think about this, but like down to the root of it, yeah, I do have to think about myself. So I have to continue to say this stuff, you know? So I told him, so he asked me, he said, come to find out he's an associate pastor. And so that made me go, dang, already ulterior motive. You know what I mean? That's what makes me, you know, it makes you think that, like, because, we all went the blueprint. We knew what we know. Your pastor and our pastor was Black. But he said, I want you guys to find a Black person or a minority in the church and or out of the church and just ask them questions about this so that you can have a better understanding. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure some type of thing happened like that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure. And then him being an associate pastor, you got to take the lead. So, I'm sure all of that took place. But I think about the gospel being preached, right? And I think about what Paul was saying, because, there were people in scriptures, they were like, yo, they're preaching this gospel for this purpose. And they're doing this for this reason. Paul was like, so let God sort them out. The gospel is being preached. You know what I'm saying? So in the same sense, it's like, I don't care why you hitting me up. You now have this information in your head. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what anyone else has told you. I know what I'm telling you right now. You know what I mean? And I told him, I said, listen, it's not a grandiose. So when you ask me, what can you do? And I said this to the white woman that hit me up as well. And she's definitely an ally. I have no qualms with her in that regard. But I told him, I said, listen, what we don't want to happen is you having this white guilt and needing a way to appease this white guilt. Let's do this grandiose act to absolve ourselves of white guilt. And that's literally what it is a lot of times. So what can I do? What is the one thing that I can do? I'm like, there's no one thing that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It is. And I said, it's not even protesting. I said, it's not.
Mhm.
I was like, it's not. I'm like, you can protest if you so choose. That would be nice. You can be out on the front lines if you would. That would be nice. That would be a great story to tell your grandkids when you get older. Like, look, I fought in the fight against racism, and you can do all of that. That would be great.
People do.
I'm sure they do. You can do all of those things, right? But it's not really about that. Again, it's repentance.
It's repentance, but it's a level of care. I think if it's you, like, I can't teach you to care, so you need to care first, and everything else will come outside of you actually caring and you actually grieving as well, and not seeing it as a me problem, but seeing it as a problem of humanity.
Tabitha, that's exactly what I told him. That's exactly what I told him. That's exactly what I told him. I said, it's not a black people problem. I said, this is a humane issue. This is an issue. This is a mankind issue. This is your people, you and or your people not seeing black people and other minorities, but specifically black people in this moment, not seeing us as being made in the same imago Dei as you guys are. We're made in the image of God, just like you. And so anytime you oppress us, that is an indictment on how you see God, point blank, period.
Yeah.
Keith, I think you hit the nail.
What happened?
Hmm.
No, I was going to say I wanted to jump in when Keith was done, but go ahead, Victoria.
Oh, no. Well, I think so. While you were speaking, I feel like I identify why, like the root of why I don't like that question is because I feel like it presents as like they are looking for like that one solution.
Yes.
And I think that's my biggest issue with it.
Yeah.
Like I don't, because to your point, there is no one solution. It is there is a track record of behavior that you need to exhibit and like needs to become a consistent part of your life.
That's why I told him.
For this to be a thing that we can, that actually gets. And so I think that's why I get frustrated by that question because in past conversations, it's just like, they're only looking for like this, like, what is that one thing that I can get this stamp of approval that I am just like a good white person. It's just
exactly.
I'm like, yo, like, just like clearly there is no one thing that I as a black person can do right now to be viewed as a whole person for so many people. Like there's no one thing that you can do to resolve. Like,
right.
This is centuries of hurt and centuries of pain. And like, I think that's why I'm just like, like, that literally hit it. I was like, that's why I don't like that question. Because there's no one answer.
I told him, I said, it's not one thing that you can do. I said, it is, and I came up with the term in a moment. I said, it's micro protests. It's speaking out every time you're in your home with your friends and they, this race speech starts coming about and they, and they start speaking in a certain way, like in this white code against black people and other minorities, is speaking out in that moment. It's not being silent when things like this happen. It's not condoning this type of behavior in any kind of way. It's not seeing something like this, a black person slain by a police officer, and trying to figure out in your mind what justified him being dead.
Yeah, what justified them being put before a jury, judge, and executioner right in one moment. Like, Nothing would. And I just want to comment on this because I don't feel that it is the responsibility of everyone to have to answer those questions.
No.
Like when they come, kind of like Keith, when I got the question over the last week from one or two people, it did make me feel seen and known in the way that they came about it. Now, I don't know all of their motives, and maybe that's my naivete that feels like, oh, okay, maybe this person do want to understand. And if you want to understand, like, I'm the type of person I want to help you understand, but I understand that that's not the space that everyone else needs to be in. Protect your mental health. Like, if you are tired and beyond tired of having the conversation, I wouldn't say that someone that's beyond tired should have that conversation. But if it is someone like, if I have to work with you, if I have to do life with you, like there's no way in this present moment of me going around doing life with you, I want you to get it. So if you come to me, I want to be able to share with you. And like both of you are saying, there is no one cookie cutter answer. Like there is not one thing you can do. But out of those things, you first have to care. You can't just do something to appease me, to appease other Blacks, to appease the social media platform or whatever it may be. Like you have to care. And from you caring, like you move based upon that. And there are a lot of actionable things that can be done. And like you said, I think most of those things are, one, dispelling those racism traits that are in people's own heart. Like sometimes you may not see it and know it. So if you're someone that's going to jump on and say all lives matter, you got something in your heart you need to go sit down and you need to look at and correct first. If you're one of those people that want to throw statistic under the post to say, oh, well, white people are killed at higher rates by police, like you're not trying to
people give that statistic.
I'll be wanting to jump through the phone. It's so skewed because they're going by percentage and not number. And of course, whites are the majority here. So of course, that percentage they don't break that down. And so that's bothersome to me because it's also bothersome that you're saying that even if this person was in the wrong in some way, like you can't have compassion for the fact that they were killed like an animal. And going based upon one of the things that Killer Mike said in his speech the other day is that like that picture that he painted of this man being like a zebra in the mouth of a lion, like that was very animalistic in how he was killed and no concern or regard was given. And then people say, well, he was resisting. Why would he resist? First off, you don't even know what really happened. And then when the video showed that he wasn't resisting, like, what do you have to say now? And so then you come back and you tell us that, oh, well, he wasn't killed by him not being able to breathe.
Like
that man was going about his like you are already trying to justify it. And that is why we are outraged. That is why we are enraged. That's why we're upset right now, because you are always trying to find an excuse for why we are dying at the mercy of others. At the mercy of a white hand, at the mercy of a non-Black hand, at the mercy of an officer. It's like it's always justified for a Black person. So going back on what you said, Keith, that the person who was protesting that was killed, we do care and we are concerned about them dying. At the same time, that justice may look a lot differently for them than it looked for us, just as it did for the lady in Charlottesville that was killed a couple years ago by that guy that ran her over. So like it looks differently when it comes to us, and that's what the issue is. But again, if someone wants to know, I am in a position, not for everybody, but for people that I am doing life with, because I desire for you to know. If I have access to information, I want to give it to you, even if that's not me giving you tangible stuff, even if that's me saying, hey, you go read this book. Hey, have you considered this book? Follow these people. They actually had a conversation based upon it. Like, even if it's me pointing them somewhere because I don't have the mental space. Even today, I had to tell someone, I don't have the mental and emotional space to have this conversation today. I don't. And so like they did respect that. So just saying, like, we have to know what works for us and what doesn't work for us, but also knowing that it's not the responsibility of every Black person at every opportunity to speak on what need to be done. Yeah.
And that's absolutely true, because some people shouldn't be speaking for us.
Right.
Hello?
Go and get your girl Candace. And that's the one that they want to hear, though.
Candace
Owens.
Was she?
Oh, that like the Black Republican girl?
Yes.
Lord,
What
y'all pray for
happened?
her.
You just have to look up
She
Candace
just
Owens and
exists.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She just exists, loud and wrong, a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, not everyone needs to be. I mean, and that's a crazy thing, right? Because you can't tell people who to speak up for us and who to be quiet. We just have to pray that the right voice is speaking louder than the wrong voice.
That's
Right.
real.
The name Killer Mike keeps getting brought up. I know Victoria sees me smiling, and it's the key from Seething, I believe. So Killer Mike, what happened? Killer Mike, T.I., and who else got up on the
Keisha.
stage the other day in Atlanta?
Oh, T.I.
Wasn't
got up
Keisha-
there? I didn't know that.
And that
Yeah.
stupid looking shirt.
He was one of those people that shouldn't have been speaking in that moment.
100%.
So
Now I have to find the whole thing. I only saw Killer Mike's part.
okay, what did Killer Mike say to the public in 8 minutes or less?
His speech was 8 minutes, so hopefully we can say it in 8 minutes or less. He was just basically saying that though he understands rioting, he doesn't feel that rioting is the way to be going about it right now. He said because, and I feel like I'm going to forget the reasons that he was saying. He was just saying he felt like more should be done. Like we should really be taking this time to be strategic and seeing what needs to be done. He spoke about how he comes from a family of officers, leading all the way down to the original 8 who could, in I guess the area he's in Georgia, who could not dress out with other officers because they were Black. So they had to dress out in their uniform different places. But he was just saying that he feel that more should be done outside of rioting. However, he do know the pain of the young people and why they are rioting. Is the brief of what I got from it.
Good, very good.
Victoria looked like she wanted to say something, but she like,
Hold on. I got to get my thoughts together. Hold
All
on.
right, get them together.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I posted on Facebook yesterday. I said, "Is Killer Mike?" I said, "Is Killer Mike still named Killer Mike, telling people not to be violent?"
Seems like a contradiction.
Right.
I did not make mention of the shirt that he had on that said "Kill your masters." While he's giving this anti-violence speech, while being named Killer Mike. I was then addressed by a particular Christian rapper who will remain nameless.
Just kidding.
No, I'm not.
Nothing. I'm kidding.
I've never met him before in my life, right? And we'll be right back because I got more than 6 minutes on this.
Like, yikes, this is already off to a bad start.
We'll be right back after these messages.